An Apple a Day by Hyperme. Chapter 22.
Must be Raito-kun. I told you before, Elle, my family is dying to meet you. But they've already met me. My mom has never met you before. Sayu has only seen you when you were in a coma, and my dad's never talked to you as my boyfriend.
Elle smiled.
I like that. Boyfriend.
His boyfriend pulled hard on the comb.
Do you? Now sit still, your ham's a mess.
Raito had been pleased to learn that Elle's back had stopped bleeding the day after he woke up. Although they will forever leave a scar, the cuts healed nicely. Raito despised seeing those scars sprawled across his boyfriend's entire back, but Elle thought otherwise.
They show that I belong to Raito-kun. Would Raito-kun like me to cut my name in his bag as well?
Elle had received a smack to the head, which made Raito wonder as he mercilessly yanked on the knots in Elle's hair. What was his name anyway? Surely it was not Ryuga Hideki or Ryuzagi or Elle. When asked, the answer was always,
when the time is right.
Tonight was the anniversary of a month that Elle has been out of his coma. He's had no visitors so far, except for Watari. He and Raito both agreed that Elle would not be returning to work until he was completely healed, much to the detective's dismay. But then Watari had gone against Raito and joined up with Elle in saying that Raito needed to return to work. The doctor had agreed only if Elle comes with him to work and comes home with him afterwards. Now that Isha is gone, Soichiro allowed him to buy a new apartment, and the Raven Airman upheld his part of the bargain. Elle flexed around his right foot, enjoying how light it felt.
I had missed sitting like this. I'm sure your back didn't. I know my taste buds missed the sweets. I don't get it. How do you still not have diabetes? You must have been born without the ability to develop it. There's no other reason. I think Raito's twice-a-week blood tests are a little extreme. Is he that eager to have me develop diabetes? No, of course not, Elle. I just want to rub it in your face when you do. That was quite a burn, Raito-kun. I most definitely need some ice. My foot hurts. Could you get me some? Doctor, give me the news. I got a bad case of loving you.
Elle sang as he jumped out of the car, leading a growling Raito to the door. Oh, you made me promise that you would never ever sing that song!
I find that song to be my theme song. It's a quite catchy tune. Doesn't Raito-kun agree?
No! Elle ignored him and pounded on the door. He quickly ran a hand through his hair, undoing the somewhat calmer state Raito had managed to wrestle it into. The doctor knew he had waited until this very moment to return his hair to its natural state. There was a loud crash on the opposite side of the door. I got it!
Are you please stay with your mother in the kitchen and let me answer the door?
No, I'm going to open it, Dad! Both of you calm down. I'm answering the door.
But I'm the man of the house.
But I'm the child. It's the child's job to answer the door because their parents are too lazy. I have yet to meet Ryuga-kun, so I am the one to answer it.
Raito briefly wondered why he nagged in the first place. The door swung open to reveal all three of his family members nearly jumping out of the frame.
Ryuga-kun!
Hello again, Ryuga.
Nice to meet you, Ryuga-kun.
Raito thought what his family must have thought about him. Elle was wearing his usual attire, refusing to part from it. His back was bent horribly. His thumb was in his mouth. He didn't bother to put on shoes. His black rings were back and as prominent as ever. And his hair looked like he had awoken from his coma on the car ride over. Elle shifted his weight from both feet to his left foot and gave a small wave. Hello.
Raito wanted to smack him upside the head. His family ushered him into the house, leaving their son to enter on his own. Sayu pushed Elle onto the couch while his parents questioned what he wanted to eat or drink. Raito could feel the anxiety pouring off of his boyfriend's body. He sat down next to him. You're scaring him. Please calm down. Slowly, his family introduced themselves one by one to him.
I am Elle,
he answered. Elle? His mother gasped. The West Garden's detective? Sayu asked.
I thought you weren't going to tell anyone, his father said.
You knew? His mother questioned.
Higami-sama and I worked together to capture Isha. We met face-to-face 6 weeks ago, but he was not allowed to enclose that information to anyone.
Were you aware of this, Raito?
He told me a while ago.
So how did you two meet? Sayu asked, leaning forward in her seat. Raito never told me.
I was forced against my will to meet with him, and I was dreading it. The moment he walked through the door, he criticized me. That's not what happened, Elle. Yes, it is. Raito immediately attacked my sitting posture. Who wouldn't? You sit like a gargoyle. See what I mean? He criticized me the minute we met. Then Raito-kun starts complaining because that's what he does best. Hey! He complains about my posture, my eating habits, my rude remarks, my apathetic attitude. You are so annoying! Raito-kun likes to prove my point. He then tells me that I need to start eating healthier unless I desire to develop diabetes. Which he still hasn't! Raito muttered darkly under his breath. Which I still haven't.
Elle smiled.
It was love at first sight. For you! Yes, it took Raito-kun a few Tuesday appointments, kisses, cakes, and a bet for the fact to sink into his thick skull.
The timer in the kitchen dinged, knocking the shocked expressions of their faces. Sachiko stood up. Dinner should be ready soon. She rushed into the kitchen.
It has been quite a while since we've last seen you, Raito,
his father said.
What have you been up to since we last talked? Taking care of him.
Raito jabbed a thumb to the man next to him.
His wounds are all healed and his foot with some physical therapy will be perfectly normal soon.
Misa said you're taking patients again, Sayu added.
Elle and Watari thought it was for the best. Since Watari and I both agreed that Elle will not be returning to work for a little while longer, he's been helping me out at work. Because of my broken foot and my paranoia of the criminals finding out who I am, I wasn't able to do much than work on the bills. You did a fine job on the bills. I never have enough time to pay them, and Misa and Kiyomi never fill them out correctly. It is such a waste of my intelligence,
Elle moaned as Sachiko called them in for dinner. Soichiro sat at the head of the table facing his wife. Sayu sat to her right and Raito to her left, leaving Elle to sit between his boyfriend and his father. In the middle of the table were 3 plates, one of gyoza, another of udon, and the last of sukiyaki. Each person had their own bowl of miso soup and white rice. I was not sure what you liked, Elle, his mother said. Raito never informed me.
It's fine, Yagami-san. Thank you.
Elle responded when Raito gave him a nudge in the side. They all said thanks and began to eat. Raito watched out of the corner of his eye as Elle stared at the food. He grabbed the other's plate and placed a variety of items on it.
Have you never eaten a regular Japanese meal before? You look like you were just handed a crying baby and told to shut him up. Quite an interesting analogy, Raito-kun. But I've had a Japanese meal before. When? Just yesterday when you shoved that disgusting green plant down my throat. That was lettuce, Elle, and not a traditional part of a Japanese meal. Can you name any of the meals on the table? Elle pointed to a bowl. This is rice, and the bowl next to it is miso soup. Anything else? That is spaghetti. That's Italian. This is udon.
Elle wrinkled his nose as he repeated the word. He picked at the noodles with a chopstick and picked up a single strand. He sniffed it before allowing the noodle in his mouth. He chewed carefully. It's not bad. See, there's better food out there than cake. I did not say it was better than cake. I said it's not bad. The more food you try, the more accepting you will be to eating things other than desserts. Sayu looked at her mother as Raito and Elle continued to bicker. Can I only eat dessert too, Mother? Maybe that's where Elle gets all of his intelligence. No, honey, cake is not good for your insides. You'll get fat. And intelligence does not come from cake. It comes from studying long and hard. Yeah, I guess cake doesn't make you smarter. If that were true, Raito would have an IQ of 0.
So, Soichiro asked, cutting in. What is Isha now? Elle glanced to his left. He is dead, Yagami-san. His execution was 8 days ago. How did that go? Not so well. Raito and I attended. He was screaming the entire time, telling the police to let him go. He kept yelling that he needed to kill Raito Yagami until the moment his heart stopped beating. Soichiro's eyes widened. Did he ever see Raito? No, he was aware that we were watching him through video cameras.
I think that's enough talk of that for the dinner table, Sachiko interrupted. It was quiet for all of 12 seconds before Sayu suddenly slammed her palm onto the table. I can't wait anymore! Did you turn fuck yet?
Sayu! That would be a no, Elle answered bluntly, picking up a mushroom with distaste. Raito-kun is such a prude.
Raito blushed. Why not?
Sayu! I have a cast on my right foot that just came off this morning. Raito-kun said I would only injure myself or him when we would engage in sexual activities.
Raito was jabbing him in the side, but Elle ignored him and kept talking in his monotone voice.
I guess it would be hard to pound him into the mattress with a heavy cast on my foot.
Both of his peers were flabbergasted, mouths wide open. Sayu looked interesting. Why didn't you lie down and take it? You said Raito had to be the bottom.
Elle smiled, and one could almost see the perverted plans formulating. Ah, but that is where you are wrong. I am no submissive. I'm a top, an aggressive top. I have never once been submissive. One of the few things I can boast about. I have never even been submissive to a traffic signal.
Sayu stared in awe, but Raito wanted nothing more than to punch his mouth off.
Surely as a detective you would know that's illegal, Soichiro gritted. Of course, Yagami-san, but you'll be happy to know that I have never caused an accident.
L poked at a piece of tofu.
Is this sanitary? Eat it, or the dessert will mysteriously disappear.
Although there was a smile on his boyfriend's face, and the tone seemed pleasant, albeit rather forced, L knew Raito was not pleased. He quickly shoved the tofu in his mouth and swallowed.
Good boy.
They left 2 hours later. Sachiko had thankfully managed to bring the subject to another topic, one that did not include a man after Raito's life or Raito's sex life. Sayu had learned from Misa that L was a big fan of cake, and for dessert, they pulled out a giant red velvet cake with vanilla icing. Raito wished that L would eat some vegetables with that kind of intensity.
That did not go as badly as I expected,
L said on the car ride back.
Probably for you! Did you have to bring up our non-existent sex life? It is not non-existent, Raito-kun. We practically live in the resting room during your breaks.
Raito blushed at the thought.
We've also... Okay, so it's not non-existent. I get it.
He interrupted, determined to keep his mind and eyes on the road. The light changed up ahead to red, and Raito eased to a stop. L stared at the red light shining onto Raito's face.
The cast is off, Raito-kun. My foot is almost back to normal. I know you've been waiting for this moment as much as I have.
Raito turned to L.
You mean... Ah, the light is green now, Raito-kun.
End of An Apple a Day by Hyperme. If you enjoyed this recording or the content, feel free to leave a comment below, a review with the original story from the link in the description, or become a member to support this channel. Thank you for listening.